Welcome to lecture 1.2, What is music? What is music? There are some definitions. Music is sounds combined to produce beauty of form, harmony, or expression of emotion. Music is humanly organized sound. Music is humanly organized sound outside the scope of language. Music is sounds organized by humans and intended for musical purposes. So from the above definitions, we can see that we tend to define music anthropocentrically, which means human plays the central role in the music definition, and we tend to attribute music to a kind of human labor or human efforts. More definitions. Sounds organized into patterns which are sonically or individually accepted as music. So here in this definition, it not only emphasizes the organized sound property of music, it also emphasizes the perception or the reception of music by a group of people, individually or socially. Music is not sound, it is listening to sound. So the presence of music requires a kind of listening or the audience to perceive it as music. So we can see that music seems to involve sounds, organization, and intent in both creation and reception. So from the reading, World Music Chapter 1, What in the World is Music? There are 5 propositions. Proposition 1, the basic property of all music is sound. So music is rooted in sound, and music is an acoustic phenomenon. Any and all sounds have the potential to be tunes, that is, to be music sounds. This includes obvious candidates, such as notes that are sang or played on a piano, guitar, or violin, but it also includes the sounds of slamming shutter doors, pig squeals, water rushing in a stream, or anything else. But what about John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds, a work in which sound seems conspicuously absent? So please watch this video, John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds, linked below. After you finish, please come back. Okay, welcome back. After listening to John Cage's work, 4 minutes and 33 seconds, how are you feeling? So you might perceive that the sound is conspicuously absent in this performance. Is that true? Perhaps not. Actually, there are sounds, many sounds in every performance of 4 minutes and 33 seconds. There are the sounds of the performers' footsteps as they walk onto the stage, of the audience applauding, of the clicking on and off of the stopwatch, of the turning of pages at prescribed time intervals, of the random assortment of coughs, chair squeaks, heating and air conditioning system hums, and whatever else may emerge during a given performance. Indeed, one of the main points of 4 minutes and 33 seconds is that it creates a framework for music listening that compels people to reorient their hearing to hear the music inherent in a range of sounds and silences whose musical qualities are conventionally ignored or go unnoticed by music listeners. So, this statement argues that John Cage's work, 4 minutes and 33 seconds, are actually music, although there's no performance, no the traditional sound contained in this work, but the ambiences, right? The ambient sound is always present, and these sounds constitutes the acoustic phenomenon in this piece, and this endows the meaning for this piece. So the purpose of these 4 minutes and 33 seconds is to reorient our attention to the sounds that we considered silent or just go unnoticed or ignored in our daily life. So in this certain period of performance, these 4 minutes and 33 seconds, we repeat our attention to these sounds that's previously ignored, and also we cultivate this appreciation to the to the ambience. So in this sense, this piece by John Cage is categorized or considered as music by its definition. Proposition 2. The sounds and silences that comprise a musical work are organized in some way. So one marker of difference between music sounds and other types of sounds is that music sounds always emerge within some kind of organizational framework, whereas other sounds may or may not. Music, then, is a form of organized sound. The organizational element is culturally and individually based. It can be music from a foreign culture that is based on unfamiliar organizational schemes, such as the Japanese gagaku music, or the late John Cage's music that intentionally subverts the common and familiar organizational principles that make music recognizable. As we already listened to John Cage's music in the previous slide, now please listen to the Japanese gagaku music. The link is linked below, and after you finish, please come back. Okay, welcome back. After listening to the gagaku music, you might find it's difficult for you to appreciate it if you are enculturated to the Western culture, and if you are not familiar with Japanese traditions or you are not interested in Japanese culture. So the organizational elements is culturally and individually based, which means the different culture have different forms and maybe their own definitions of music. But the common thing is that music is a kind of organized sound, although it's patterned differently in different cultural niches, but it's always organized by human, especially by a group of human in that society or the community. Proposition 3. Sounds are organized into music by people. Thus, music is a form of humanly organized sound. So music is a human phenomenon. It is a form of humanly organized sound. There is no doubt that many animals express themselves and even communicate using organized systems of sound that have music-like qualities. However, it is proposed that music, understood as such, is essentially a human invention. It is something that people either make, hear, or assign to other kinds of sounds. Birds and whales did not sing until human beings saw fit to label their distinctive forms of vocalization with that musical term. Moreover, birds and whales do not necessarily make music any more than pigs do, but the songs of birds and whales seem to have been more amenable to musical interpretation by people than the grunts of pigs. So this proposition emphasizes the central role of human in the music making and perception. So any sound that has to be either organized or perceived as music by human beings to be defined as music. So when we see the birds and the whales are singing, it doesn't mean they are not making music until we human beings label their form of vocalization as music. And the growls of pigs are usually not related to musical attributes, so thus we usually don't consider it as music. So the pure presence of sound, of any kind of sound, cannot be considered music before the human beings categorize or label them as music. Proposition 4. Music is a product of human intention and perception. When any sound, series of sounds, or combination of sounds is organized by a person or group of people and presented as music, that is, with the intention that it be heard as music, our point of departure will be to treat it as music. Similarly, when any person or group of persons perceives a sound, series of sounds, or combination of sound as music, our point of departure will be to treat that as music too. So this definition emphasizes the intention and perception of music in the music production. So this is called the human intention and perception approach, or HIP approach. So this approach privileges inclusiveness over exclusiveness, which means any sound that is intended and perceived by human as music is considered music. It doesn't have to be some folk tunes or masterpiece or something like recorded or notated on a book. So anything, any sound patterns that is intended as music and perceived as music by a group of people will be naturally considered as music. It emphasizes the idea that music is inseparable from the people who make and experience it. So music is not something that's recorded, that's just presented by itself, like in nature, but it requires the participation of human beings to perceive it, to make it, and to experience it. So this is the definition of music, which requires the involvement of human beings. Proposition 5. The term music is inescapably tied to Western culture and its assumptions. So I wouldn't say this is a part of definition of music, but it is something that's worth pay attention to when we try to define music. Even though every human culture in the world has produced forms of organized sound that we in the West consider music, many of these cultures do not categorize their own music as music at all. It seems that our concept of music, however broad and open-minded we try to make it, cannot transcend its Western cultural moorings. So this is so I believe this author is from the Western culture, and he assumed that the audience is also from the West. So this phenomenon is called ethnocentrism, which means we cannot help but impose our own culturally grounded perspectives, biases, and assumptions on practices and life ways that are different from our own. So if you are inculturated to the Western culture, it might be difficult for you to appreciate some music like maybe from India, from Japan, from China, especially the traditional music. And also, if you are from a specific cultural niche, for example, if you are inculturated to African music, it might also be difficult for you to appreciate or get used to the Western classical music, such as the chorus, the church music, etc. So the music is culturally grounded and is culturally patterned and defined. And it is usually difficult for people in a certain cultural niche to appreciate the musical form from another culture or another cultural niche. Okay, so to summarize, the propositions or the for the definition of music. First, music is rooted in sound. It's an acoustic phenomenon. Second, music is a form of organized sound. Third, music is organized by people, so it is a humanly organized sound. Fourth, music involves human intention and perception. Fifth, the term music is inescapably tied to Western culture and its assumptions. So from these propositions, we can now see that music is a category of humanly organized sound that takes its core identity from the musical intentions and perceptions of its makers and listeners. This is all for the lecture 1.2. Thanks for listening.